Today we will cover the brain, specifically the human brain. Here's what we will study in this lecture. First, we'll cover some interesting facts about the brain. Then, we'll study the parts of the brain. After that, we'll discuss the weight of the brain. Next, we'll learn about the brain's blood supply. We will also explore the anatomy of the brain. Afterward, we'll study the brain's structure. Then, we'll examine the brainstem. Finally, we'll go over the functions of the brain. Let's begin with some facts about the brain. You might be surprised to learn that approximately 750 milliliters of blood per minute flows through our brain from the rest of the body. The second fact is that the brain is made up of 86 billion neurons. Neurons are the structural and functional units of the brain. The largest part of the brain is the cerebrum, which makes up 85% of the brain's total weight. Here's another fascinating fact. The right side of the brain controls the left side of the body, and the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body. Historically, the ancient Egyptians, during mummification, used to remove the brain through the nose. Now, let's move on to the parts of the brain. The brain has three major parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. The forebrain is located at the front. The midbrain is located in the middle. The hindbrain is located at the back. We will study each of these in detail, starting with the forebrain. The forebrain is divided into three main parts. 1. Cerebrum. 2. Thalamus. 3. Limbic system. The thalamus has two layers. One is the outer layer and other is the inner layer. The outer layer called gray matter. The inner layer called white matter. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It is responsible for movement, speech, and intelligence. The thalamus processes sensory information such as touch and pain before sending it to other parts of the brain. The limbic system is responsible for hunger, fear, anger, thirst, and sexual responses. Next, let's discuss the midbrain. The midbrain controls reflex movements and is also responsible for hearing reflexes. The midbrain also connects the forebrain and hindbrain. Now, let's move to the hindbrain, which consists of cerebellum, pons, and medulla oblongata. Let me tell you the function of all these three parts. The cerebellum controls balance and coordination. The pons control the pattern of breathing. And the medulla oblongata controls breathing, heart rate, swallowing, and blood circulation. Let's now focus on the anatomy of the brain. The brain is protected by the skull. The brain itself has four lobes: frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe. Beneath the lobes, you will find the thalamus, and below the thalamus is the hypothalamus. There is also a pea-sized gland called the pituitary gland, which plays a vital role in regulating hormones. Other important structures include the pineal body, corpus callosum, dura mater, and cerebellum. Let's now explore the functions of the lobes. The frontal lobe is responsible for reasoning, planning, emotions, and speech. The parietal lobe controls sensory receptors that help us perceive touch and pain. The occipital lobe processes visual information from our eyes. The temporal lobe manages hearing, memory, and speech. Next, let's discuss the weight of the brain. In males, the brain weighs approximately 1380 grams. In females, it weighs about 1250 grams. Now, let's talk about the blood supply to the brain. The brain receives blood through the carotid artery, which branches into 1. The right and left anterior cerebral arteries. 2. The right and left posterior cerebral arteries. 3. The vertebral artery. These arteries ensure that the brain gets its required blood supply. Let's move on to the brainstem. If you are studying the brain, then you must have to know about the brainstem. The brainstem consists of three parts. 1. Midbrain. 2. Pons. 3. Medulla oblongata. Together, these three form the brain stem. The brain stem controls critical functions like heart rate, breathing, sleeping, and eating. Its most significant role in regulating our sleeping pattern. Lastly, let's talk about the functions of the brain. The brain controls almost every function of our body, including vision, intelligence, reasoning, language, sensation, body movement, breathing, behavior, memory, personality, speech, hearing, heartbeats, swallowing, blood pressure, and many more. In short, the brain is responsible for regulating every major function of the body. Now, here is the question of the day. Which is the largest part of brain? If you know the answer, please leave it in the comments below. If you would like to watch my other lectures on topics like the lungs, kidneys, liver, brain and eyes, visit my channel to view my other videos.